Hello all and welcome to our brand new daily show, The Big Story, where we bring you the hottest topics of the day right here from the heart of the newsroom. My name is Lisa Wu and I'm coming to you live from the Straits Times. And yes, we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube right now. So do like, comment and share this video and click that bell button if you'd like to be alerted whenever we go live. Now, more than 4,000 individuals have had their personal information leaked after part of the Singapore Red Cross website was hacked last Wednesday. The website section affected was the one that recruits people interested in donating blood. This isn't the first time that a health-related data breach has happened. In March this year, it was reported that personal information of more than 800,000 blood donors were accessed illegally and possibly stolen. I have here with me journalist Haris Baharuddin, hello, to talk more about this. So Haris, what do you think is the main issue here with these data leaks? And you know, it keeps happening, right?
Yeah. So personally, I think the main issue in this latest incident, it brings to light how dangerous having bad passwords and bad cyber hygiene can be, especially when it comes to protecting sensitive data. In the case you mentioned, the Singapore Red Cross mentioned that the breach is attributed to a weak administrator password, and which should not be the case, I think, because organizations that collect and use such personally identifiable information or PIIs like your names, your NRIC, your blood group,
which you cannot change.
Yes, have to also take steps to make sure that such data is protected. And it's not the first time we've seen this happen actually. So in last year's data breach on the Sing Health data on healthcare cluster, which resulted in more than 1.5 million patients' data being stolen, hackers were reported to gain access due to weak passwords to similar admin accounts. And one of them was actually a password with P@SSW0RD. So with the rising threat of cyber attacks, let's not make it easier for hackers to get a hold of our personal data.
Definitely. You would think that, I thought actually that's quite ingenious password.
Yeah.
The way it's spelled.
I do recommend using it.
Okay. Now, what sort of consolation can those who are victims of data leaks expect?
Well, to be honest, there is not much a person can do once their data is out there, especially if it's a PII, a piece of data that binds to them, like the NRIC or full name, because they can't really change these things.
Yeah.
So practically, there's no recourse for people whose information has been compromised, but individuals can choose to take legal action against organizations that have caused their data to be stolen or leaked. This was mentioned by Health Minister Gan Kim Yong actually in Parliament earlier this year during his ministerial statement about the online leak of the information of 14,200 HIV positive people reported about earlier this year. But legal action can be costly and also long drawn, and other than that, from what we know, there's not much a person can do once their information is out there and swirling around the internet. Yeah, it's until now it's not known if patients affected by both the Sing Health data breach or the HIV leak have any practical recourse.
So that means basically, all our information when it's online, especially on all these for public health records, we really have to trust the government and these IT vendors to be protecting our data and taking it seriously, right? So what can Singapore's government do to ensure that the big public organizations such as SRC or the IT vendors have robust security systems and data security practices?
Right. So there is the Personal Data Protection Act, the PDPA, that requires private organizations to make reasonable security arrangements to protect the personal data that they possess or control and to prevent unauthorized access or breaches or collection, use, disclosure or similar risks. So it's a pretty hefty fine. Organizations can be fined for up to $1 million for flouting the act, and we've seen this fine actually being dished out not just in healthcare organizations but in all sorts of ones as well. So like 3 years ago, K-Box was fined $50,000 for instance, after the personal data of its members were leaked in I think September 2014 and found on text sharing sites. And of course, last year, the biggest fine that the PDPC, Singapore's privacy watchdog, has issued was to the Integrated Health Information Systems, IHIS, for its lapses in the Sing Health data breach that I mentioned earlier. Yeah.
So certainly what we can do as individuals is to make sure that we don't use
Weak
weak passwords.
Change them often.
Yes.
Yeah.
And don't use the same one and just change one letter, which we usually tend to do,
Correct,
right? Because we have to change it so often.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a pain, but it's a hassle worth dealing with.
I think a small step that goes a long way.
Definitely. So thank you so much, Haris.
Thank you.
We definitely have a long way to go in practicing good cyber hygiene, that's for sure, me included. And thank you so much for sharing about this issue.
Thank you.
Right. In other tech news, last week the Singapore government announced plans to start rolling out 5G networks by next year. But thanks to the trade war between the United States and China, those plans might be affected. To help me explain this further, I have with me tech editor Irene Tam, which you will have seen her quite recently. Right, Irene, you've been here already.
Yes.
This is your second time? This is your third time?
Yeah, I think thereabouts.
Thereabouts, right? Sorry, I put you on the spot with the unexpected question. So anyway, Irene, how exactly will this trade war between the US and China affect Singapore's plans for a 5G network?
Just a quick recap. On Wednesday, the Trump administration put Huawei on a blacklist, essentially requiring US companies to get a special license and approval from the US government to supply equipment or any components to Huawei. So this is the US latest move to curb Huawei's 5G dominance, and it came following accusations that it was helping the Chinese government spy for the Chinese government. And last year, the US banned Huawei from supplying equipment in the United States. So the latest development on Wednesday could wreak havoc on supply chains around the world and could possibly delay the rollout of 5G networks around the world. But in Singapore, I believe the impact is minimal because telcos will need to build a 5G network without riding on existing 4G equipment. So what this means is local telcos will not be able to migrate to 5G by rolling out just a software upgrade to their existing 4G equipment to save money.
So exactly how would it work? So for someone like me, I don't really know what that means. So you said software upgrade as opposed to what sort of upgrade?
As opposed to hardware replacement. Okay. So to roll out 5G network, you need hardware and software and antennas. So the quick approach and the money-saving approach is to not roll out too much of hardware and just provide just a software, a firmware upgrade on existing 4G hardware, the core network equipment. So and then replacing some antennas. So that will bring you 4.5G, not really 5G, but that's not what the Singapore government wants. Singapore government wants a full-fledged 5G network that can they can enable surfing that's up to 20 times faster than 4G networks.
Download a movie in 1 second, right?
Yes, 1.5 seconds. Yeah, a HD movie that's about 4 gig in 1.5 seconds. So that's what the Singapore government wants. But more importantly, it wants the capacity of supporting 1,000 more devices than what 4G can support, and no lag for mission critical tasks like autonomous vehicles. You need navigation to avoid collision and all that, and you can't afford a lag. Yes. Otherwise, there'll be collisions and accidents.
So upgrading hardware will be a bit of a hassle in the beginning, but definitely it will pay off in the long run, right?
Yes.
So that's how the government can fully maximize the potential of 5G networks.
Yes, which is what it wants to do actually, to gain economic advancements and to be the front runner, one of the front runners in 5G application development, to sell to the rest of the world our expertise. So we need that network in place to be able to develop all these new applications that are said to be to drive the fourth industrial revolution. So that's tied to economic gains, economic growth, and also our space, our leadership in the digital economy.
So you were saying drive new applications. So I can use the word innovations here, right? So what specific innovations can we expect coming out of the 5G once the 5G network is implemented?
When you do not have a lag and you can support a lot of devices, you are able to commandeer machines, and robots, and without a person sitting at the I mean, they talk to each other and they can move and do tasks by themselves. So this is, and also IoT devices.
Sorry, what's IoT?
IoT, Internet of Things, connected fridge, connected cars, connected
yes, so I can switch
aeroplanes.
on my aircon before I even reach home, which actually you can already do now, right?
Yes, you can do
In a
now,
sense.
yes.
But another innovation we were talking about when we were discussing for the show is driverless buses.
Right.
That's one innovation.
Yes.
The other one that I found personally quite interesting is remote surgery.
Yes, remote
in
surgery.
hospitals,
yeah.
right?
So if a surgeon is not available in this part of the world and you need him urgently to operate on someone, it can be done remotely. I don't know how this is possible, but it can be possible because there's no lag in the, and there needs to be more developments in this space to enable telemedicine, remote surgery type of applications.
And how will the 5G network benefit the Singapore economy? Do you have any facts, any figures?
Figures, I think, I mean, I can only figures. Yeah, it was. I mean, I can't remember offhand, but research done by a British research firm IHS Markit said that globally, 5G technology is expected to generate about 12.3 trillion US dollars in economic output by 2035. So that sounds like a lot of money. And it is, it's bigger. This amount is nearly what consumers in the US spent in 2016. And it's more than the combined spending of consumers in China, Japan, Germany, Britain, and France in 2016. So to give you a sense of how big it is.
So it's highly likely that Singapore's plans to roll out a 5G network by next year shouldn't really be affected, right, by the US-China trade war. So we don't have to worry.
Telcos are not held back by any legacy decisions they had made before. So whatever existing investments they have in 4G, well, they can't use it anymore for 5G. So they have to choose from scratch. And every single vendor that is in this space stand a good chance to get the contract.
Now, okay, I want to know, as a smartphone user, if we do move on to 5G networks, do I have to upgrade my phone to a 5G phone to fully enjoy the benefits, or it doesn't matter?
You need a 5G phone to benefit from the 5G networks. But I guess, I mean, as a consumer, we will not be able to tell the difference in terms of surfing speed. How do you tell, milliseconds apart? Not really, unless it's a mission critical application. So if you're just, surfing generally, you will not be able to tell the difference whether it's 4G, 5G, maybe minimally. But anyway, we have a lot. Fiber broadband is, is pretty pervasive in Singapore. We have it in almost every home. So, we log on to our Wi-Fi, we get very good connections anyway. So consumers are initially not the target for 5G networks. 5G networks, 5G applications. And to be honest, I don't think there are any killer applications at the moment that we can think of, but they may come. And also as industrial applications start to become more commonplace, consumers will benefit for sure. Like, for example, telesurgery or telemedicine. Consumers ultimately benefit at the end of the day when these become more commonplace.
So downloading a 4 gig movie in 1 second isn't exactly an innovation, but we'll have better innovations to come.
Yes, there are better things that the network can support actually, because it will be quite expensive. And to be honest, I think telcos cannot make a lot of money by selling it to consumers. They have to sell it to businesses to recoup whatever investments that they plan to make in 5G.
Well, thank you so much, Irene, for enlightening me on this topic. I certainly learned a lot from you today. And viewers can keep up to date with 5G networks with Irene's stories, which you can find on straitstimes.com. Now, after operating in Singapore for more than 20 years, Dome Cafe will close its last outlet at Parkway Parade on June 23rd. The bistro specializes in Australian cuisine and coffee and was also one of the first cafes in Singapore that started serving specialty coffee. I have here with me ST Food online editor Heidi Koo. Heidi, I've heard you have a special story tied with Dome Cafe.
Yes, it's about the cafe exiting the Singapore market and closing its last outlet at Parkway Parade.
You have a special memory. I was told you had a date there. You had a first date at a particular Dome Cafe outlet. Maybe you want to share with us?
I have some good memories of the place, especially the outlet at the Singapore Art Museum. I remember having a date there, and I was thinking, this guy has very good taste to actually choose this venue as a place for us to meet up. And it was nice. The ambience was nice. I liked the coffee in the steel ring mug, and also like classy sandwiches on nice plates. Yeah, it was a nice experience, especially back at that time. I'm not going to specify when because that will give away my age. Yeah.
So was there a second day at the same cafe?
Well, maybe with another person.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
But
Yeah.
lots of good memories, I'm sure.
Yeah, good memories. I think not just for me, but for a generation that has grown up with that gourmet coffee culture. Yeah, and it's a pity really that it's exiting the scene. Despite the fact that the coffee culture is really hot now still, but I think it has evolved and things have changed, and I think it has got to do with competition, the sheer level of competition.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what we're here to talk about actually,
Sure.
reasons why you think Dome Cafe is exiting Singapore. So you were talking about the sheer level of competition. So for one, off the top of my head, it's because we've got a lot more major coffee chains here.
Yeah. You have so much competition at this moment in time, because when Dome Cafe first came to Singapore, that was in 1993, there was competition, but it was just taking off, and it did very well because in 1994, the figures for the gourmet coffee industry, it was worth about up to $30 million. And that was quite a good number, and people did well, and then you had more different chains opening up, different brands of gourmet coffee outlets that you could go to. I remember having choices like Coffee Club at Boat Quay as well. Also, it's like there was this focus on nice ambience, it's like a place to meet up with friends, a place to be seen. But now it's the competition is no longer at that level. There's so much choices for consumers, and I think we have moved beyond just a place to go for gourmet coffee and sandwiches and even pastas, because for like pastas, then you have people who are afraid like no carbs, and you have coffees, coffee places and cafes that offer a lot of different choices, such as plant-based options, keto-friendly, gluten-free options. I think people want more than just gourmet coffee. You have to provide them with more than even just ambience. There's got to be like something unique and special, because you have cafes in really quirky locations like Tiong Bahru and also Little India, where they have things like wood-fired ovens that the owner built from scratch, or like it's got to provide a perfect backdrop for your selfie or Wi-Fi. It's not just, the focus has moved beyond just gourmet coffee and nicely built sandwiches. It's got to be Instagram worthy, something that you can take a picture of, show off to your friends that, oh, I'm so cool, I'm eating this very nice looking food. It's about aesthetics as well.
It has to be made of unicorn tears, right?
Well, maybe not unicorn tears, but you've got to give people something special, a reason to be there, because with the sheer number of choices and options, there's got to be something. It's got to be hip, it's got to be edgy, but even for these really hip and edgy places, I think they have to really strive to keep up, because today you have something that creates the buzz, but then what are you going to come up with next? You've always got to be raising the bar, and then someone else comes up with something new that captures everyone's attention. So what are you going to do next? I think this is a question that a lot of people in F&B, not just cafes, they have to think about. Yeah.
And you were saying they need to serve, they keep the menu updated, right? They keep up with the trends, and they can't just serve coffee.
Yeah, I
It has
think
to be specialty
correct,
coffee.
yeah. I think in the case of Dome Cafe, in light of them closing, they are bringing back some of the classics, which I understand is like for some, like one of their sandwiches, their original classic sandwiches, it has evolved over time, but for this time period up to its closing, they are using the original recipe that they used to serve. And well, I guess for people who want a taste of nostalgia, that's the time to go visit. And I thought it was really interesting, this person that I interviewed, she said she had walked past, her mom loves Dome Cafe, the one at Parkway Parade, but she has never felt this motivation to try it until the news has, is out that it's closing, and now she feels this sudden urge to try it. And so she told me that she's taking her mom there. The mom's last visit, and for her it will be the first visit. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
I want to know, Hedy, will you be going back there? to Dome
I
Cafe?
might.
It's not the same outlet, but
yeah,
you know,
it's not
memories,
the
right?
yeah, it's not the same outlet. But I think it would be nice to go back there and just well, reminisce or like. Yeah, I think it'll be worth a trip to go down there and
Maybe with the
sort
same
of.
person you went on a date with.
No, I don't think so. We're no longer in touch.
Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
your insights and also your
Thank you so
lovely
much.
experience. Now, if you haven't been to Dome Cafe or would like to go again before it closes, you can visit the last outlet at Parkway Parade by June 23rd. And there we have it, our top stories for the day. For more news and videos, do log on to straitstimes.com. Once again, my name is Alyssa. Join us again same time next Monday for more big stories.